This is the mask I made. This has 2 layers of white cotton. It's a little stretchy. And it has elastic use and wire for the part of the nose to be bendable so it can provide a better seal. And there's elastic at the bottom under the chin. I'm going to make a new one. I'm going to use this white fabric, cotton, 2 layers of this. And then for the inside part, because it's next to the face, I'm going to use this fabric that I have from some other project. And I'm just going to use the white part to show on the inside because it's very soft and it's nice next to the skin. So I made this pattern, and as you can see, it's a combination of a 4-sided quadrilateral, that's redundant, and you can just freehand draw this. 7 inches at the bottom, 9 inches at the top, and 3 inches in between those 2 parallel lines. And these 2 lines can connect the first 2 lines. And then 2.5 inches up here. This 5.5 is from this point, top point, to the bottom. So if this is 3, this is only 2.5. Put a point or a dot up there and make a curve, a smooth curve. You can even make a triangle, but I thought this would have a better form. Once you make this pattern, then you can use this to cut pieces of fabric. So I cut this piece and this piece. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm going to use 2 layers of this. So I have 4 pieces of this, so that the mask will end up having 2 layers. This is the top part, this is the bottom part of this fabric, and then 1 layer of this fabric for the inside, because the inside is soft. So 2 pieces of this fabric and 4 of the other fabric. And if you're using the same fabric for all of it, then just do 6 total. Then what you do is you sew the top edge, the curved line. So I sew these 2 together. So as you can see, now I have something that is the beginning of what is going to start looking like a mask. And I did the same thing over here, all 4 of them. So if I divided this, then this also is starting to look the same. I did them separately because this way, this is the inside of the mask and there's no seam brushing against my face. And for this one, I'm going to turn this over. This is the outside of the mask, so it looks nice and clean and tidy. And then when I'm about to put them together, then I'm going to put this inside like that. And then when they're all together, you're going to have a mask that has a clean seam on the outside and a clean seam on the inside. And we're going to be putting these together. Okay? And you can use hand sewing or machine sewing. Most of the sewing is a pretty straight line. Or not maybe straight, but just straight sewing. Okay, so I put them together as I showed you before, putting this inside the other 2 layers. So as you can see, the mask has 3 layers of cotton. And I sewed the side. You can do a straight stitch. You can hem so that it looks nice and clean. I don't have a serger, but I just used a setting on my machine that looks kind of like a serger. And of course, we'll cut all this off. So you sew this side and this side. And what you end up with is basically the same shape that you have been working with, but now the layers are all together. So the next step will be to hem the top and put a metal piece in the top hem, and then hem the bottom and put an elastic piece in the bottom. And once that's done, then you can have elastic pieces for the parts that go behind your head to secure the mask, or you can have even just pieces of fabric that's been sewn into strips. So I will go ahead and sew this part, and I'll show you what it looks like after. Something that I wanted to show for the part that's supposed to be bendable for the nose part, I just happen to have these very thin wires in my workshop, and I used a zigzag stitch to basically sew it to this piece of fabric. And I used 2 because then I can use this as a, and this kind of makes itself into a ribbon. I can embed that inside the fold of the mask on the top where the nose part is supposed to be, and then I can bend this to take the form. So what I will do is, if this is supposed to be the top, when I'm hemming this, as I sew this to make a hem, I will place this inside and sew, not sewing it in, but sew on the, just on the outside of it. So this will stay inside of that fold, that hem, and then once it's sewn, you can fold or shape it however you like. And this was just my solution. You may be able to find other things that can give you the same function. Any rectangular piece of malleable metal. I mean, honestly, you could even fold an aluminum foil to take this form. And I'm going to show you what the size of that is. So this is about 4 inches, and it's about a ½ inch thick or wide of a ribbon. So if you think about it, this is going to be a 4 inch by ½ inch ribbon that can become shaped once it's inside the mask and on your nose. So you could even take aluminum foil and make a bunch of layers and make a thick enough piece of strip that will be strong enough to put in the mask. So I sewed the top part, I hemmed, I basically just folded it over, and hemmed it. And the wire part is right here inside of that hem. So once I put it on my nose, then I can bend it and it can hold its shape. If you were worried about the wire ribbon moving, then at the end of where the wire is, then you could make a little line of sewing right here, one right here, so that it won't move inside of this hem. Now for the bottom part. What I'm going to do is to make this hem. I'll have to cut this to make it level and fold it nice and neat. What I have done is use elastic. So you can put the elastic right here. I'll show it this way. So as you're making this fold, you put this elastic inside and you sew right here so it'll hold it in place. Then just lay it simply inside that fold and make your hem. This is secure, and you make your hem underneath where that ribbon is going to be. You don't want to catch that, not ribbon, sorry, elastic. You don't want to catch the elastic into this hem that you're making. You just want to secure it at this very end. So you secure it here, and then you make a hem, straight stitching all the way to here. Once you have done that, and I will show you in a video, once you have done that, this side is secure, then you can pull this and that will make this cinch. I'll do the sewing and then I'll show you how I do that. Okay, so I tacked this part, secured it in place, then I did the hem sewing, and as you can see, this side is free, so I can pull this, and as I pull this, you can see that this will get cinched, and this can go under the chin and basically remove any leaks. And you can make it as tight as you want or as loose as you want. At this point, I just want to point out something else as well, that you can see that there's a lot of extra fabric here, because before I made the hem, I tried this on my face and I don't have a very long chin. So this is as much fabric as I needed. So when I folded this to give myself a hem, I folded it a little bit more than you would think based on the fabric that is available here. So before you do that, you try it on your face or whoever's face you're making this mask for, and mark it to know whether you need to hem it over here or even tighter. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the extra fabric, being careful not to cut into the sewing part. So once that's done, so as you can see, this pattern that we had, you may not need as much length as 3 inches, but that's okay to have more to begin with, and then you can just cut the extra off. And now you have something that's a little bit neater and it's personal fit. Okay, so now, as I was saying, this side is secure, this side is not. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this and make this look like the way I want it to. You can even check it on your face and make sure that it's not too tight. And then all you need to do is to sew this in place. So don't let go of this. make sure you hold it so that you're holding these, this cinch part. And just go ahead and sew it. You can sew it by hand. You can put it under the sewing machine and just sew that. And you see that I left some extra here and I left some extra here. These two can become the bottom part of the mask tie. So I'm going to sew this and I'll be right back. So here it is. And now it's sewn, it stretches to go under your chin and it'll stay there. Now what if you didn't have elastic? That's okay. You can just take, for example, a shoelace. It's just a shoelace. And you can put that inside and put your hem, or make your hem, or make the hem and then feed this through the hem. And the only difference is that this is an elastic and it holds this elastic part, it holds these creases. If you put this, then every time you tie this behind your neck, you're forming this by making it tight around your neck. So it's okay if you don't have elastic. I just had it and I just used it. So this is kind of like, you know, the little thing that you tie the scrubs with. You just put it in the fold. And as you're tying this around your neck, you just make it as tight as you need to. Now what I need to do, the last thing that's remaining, is to put a tie on the top part of the mask. So you can, again, you can use a shoelace. You can put it inside of this fold, cinch it here, or rather tack it here, and have another one. Obviously you want to cut this so you have two pieces that you can tie behind your head. Put the other one here and sew that there. If you are using a shoelace, I suggest leave these two out and free and cut it right here. So you have two pieces, and then use this cut part to put inside, because then that way it won't unravel. It's sitting inside and you're sewing it on top, you're sewing on top of it, so it's not unraveling. And then this side that's already finished will be the free part, so you don't have to worry about it unraveling. What I'm going to use, because I still have some elastic left, like this mask over here, I'm just going to use elastic. I'm going to sew this. I'm going to sew this and then measure it around my head and then sew the other side of it. So that way I can just pull it over my head. But it really doesn't make any difference. It's whatever you have at home. None of this stuff that I have used, I purchased. It was all things that I had at home. And here is the mask already made. I put the top elastic on, the bottom elastic is here. I'll trim this to be a little shorter once I actually put it on my face. And the top part, the wire is in there so I can shape it. I'm going to put it on and then I will show you guys. Okay, so I just wanted to show what the fit is. Up here, the wire, I formed it so there's no leak up here. And the way I test it is I blow, and if I feel any air coming out of here, then I fix it more, adjust it more. This is the elastic behind my hair. And I tied this. I just happen to have more on one side, so I just tied it here. If you have less, or if you have two equal straps, then you tie it in the back. And this is all cinched down here, so there is no leak. And if you feel like there is, for your face, for example, the size is too big, or if this is too big for you, then you can adjust the dome of that pattern. Also, you can make this a little bit shorter. Remember we talked about that 3 inch? You can make this shorter. But I feel like the taller that it is, the more coverage you will have, as long as you have this tight and you have this tight. Okay, good luck.